Hello. Can you hear me? You can. Okay. Okay. Great. Perfect. Okay. Nice. Hello, Courtney.
Hi.
Well, very happy to have you here.
Oh, sorry. Of course, my son's coming and crying right this minute. What's up, guys? I'm
they're
so sorry.
adorable.
Of course. I mean, that's having kids, isn't it? Always the worst possible moment. I'm so sorry.
Hello, everyone. Today I'm here with Courtney, known by the YouTube name Quiet Mind Inside, and she has a YouTube channel that talks about her experience of what it's like to be a person with aphantasia, so having no visual imagination, and also in her case no inner monologue. I just wanted to ask her some questions so that she can share some of her experience with us.
I get so many like good questions about what it's like, and so I've really been using this opportunity to kind of examine myself and really just not just think about how I think, but now I think a lot more about how everybody else is thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've kind of become a little obsessed with it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
just walking down the road, I wonder what he's picturing right now, this kind of thing. So I don't know if it's when it's going to cross into like an unhealthy obsession. I don't know. But I wonder about these things all the time. Like what is going on in everybody's brain like right this minute. I really now I'm desperate to know.
That is actually the first question that I wanted to hear you, because just a couple of days ago that study came out that you sent to me.
Yeah.
And the introduction, they put it so well. It says that the potential impact of visual imagery absence on wider cognition remains unknown. No research to date has empirically verified whether this phenomenology extends to other internal experiences and mental processes. The question here is one day you were faced with that realization that other people see images in their head, and obviously that opens up a lot of skepticism.
Right.
Have you wondered?
Well, skepticism for me or skepticism for other people about me?
Well, actually both.
Both ways.
We can all just be skeptical about what's going on in their head, what's going on in his head.
Right.
Yeah, has it made you wonder about whether there's other aspects of your cognition that differs from other people, and we just lack the proper framework to think about it, or nobody has realized it before?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, one of the first things I asked my husband was when we first met, did I seem a bit off? like did something seem odd about me that I didn't know? Because I've always thought of myself as being pretty normal, like pretty low key, just an average normal person, like everybody else. And so I wonder how much of my perception of myself is wrong. Like maybe if you go back to my middle school or high school and you ask the people I was in class with, maybe they're like, yeah, she was cuckoo, and I had no idea. I keep thinking of that. Do you ever watch that 30 Rock with Liz Lemon and whatever?
Oh no, I don't know that.
So it was this TV show, and there was the main character, she worked for NBC Studios or whatever. Anyway, so there's one episode where she goes back home, and she had been telling everybody I didn't want to go back home because everybody was awful and blah blah blah. And then when she gets there, you see everything from their perspective, and she was the big B. And so I think about that. Is it like that? Did I have this whole different idea of how I was compared to how everybody sees me? I have no idea. So
I see.
Yeah, I don't know. So I have that side of it. Am I perceiving myself the way everybody else perceives me? And then definitely I have skepticism about what you all are seeing in your head, because it sounds fantastical to me. It sounds like a sci-fi movie. I don't even understand how such a thing is possible. For me, I don't know if I've talked about it in one of my videos or not, but for me, thoughts are thoughts. they're not sound, they're not images, they're not any, they're thoughts. You can't describe them. They're just like this abstract, conceptual, wispy nothingness. Like they're just there. And so to find out that for everybody else there's something more concrete to their thoughts, it's like, what? So for me, it is hard to think about it and not be skeptical. It's also, you know, like when I saw in movies, like people that talk to themselves or people that see things, they're always kind of messed up, you know, like American Psycho and this kind of thing. And to now learn that there's a healthy amount of seeing things that aren't there, like where is this line? Where's the line like you're okay and you're delusional? Like I really, like, to me it seems so strange. I don't know.
I mean, the same goes the other way around. Like when I learned the first time about aphantasia, I was like what? Like how can you even operate in this world without a visual component in your imagination? And I was really struggling to understand, like what do those people rely on when they think about stuff, if not visual imagination. And yeah, then this to me as well opened up a whole new realm of skepticism about other minds. I mean, if it's even like since 2018, when it was kind of objectively shown that there are some difference between aphants and other people. I mean, if we have some, you know, quite valid evidence that our minds differ in that regards, I mean, what else? What else is there that we have to discover about other people?
It's true. I mean, I think having a mind like mine, it kind of shows that you don't need images and you don't need the inner voice. So why do we have them? Does it enhance like what you can do? Somebody had actually written to me on one of the comments that he had read that Einstein didn't think in words either. He was purely visual. Anyway, so he had said in some of his journals or something that he only used words to communicate his thoughts to other people. So when he was thinking himself, he didn't use words at all. He used just visual concepts. So it's not, I mean, to me, it makes it seem like thinking without an inner voice is not completely unusual. Like people have been doing it, whether or not we talk about it. Yeah.
There's also like a lot of mathematicians actually rely on their visual experience, visual imagination in order to think about concepts that are kind of hard to put into words. Also like that beautiful mind, right? That Steve Nash, he was also like he was all
like angles and lines and all this kind of stuff. Like it's funny actually, you know, when I watched that movie, I thought it was just like to represent it for people at home because we can't see what he sees in his mind. I never had any idea that he was like actually seeing these lines and stuff. So I think but for mine, I guess it's interesting because I have neither. So so what is going on up there? I don't know. I really have no idea. You know, people ask me all the time like what happens when I think, and it's just like I assume the process is the same because like people have mentioned that I like look up when I think, which is apparently like what people do when they're visualizing something is they look up. But I'm not seeing anything and I'm not hearing anything, but like I can feel my brain is like and so I just think and then I just get the answer and I say it. And if you ask me like what I was thinking about, how I was contemplating it, I can tell you everything that I put into coming up with this answer, but I don't need to put it into words unless you ask me to do it. So it'll just stay conceptual in my head unless I'm asked directly, like, whoa, why did you come to this decision? Oh, because of this and this and this and this.
Yeah, that's also like what I find, the thing you talked about, whether there is any advantage in visualizing things. What I found very interesting is that Adam Zeman in his paper had this 65-year-old patient MX as he's named now, and they tested him out for various cognitive skills, and he had to tell how a virtual object was rotated. And and like have different shades of green compared, and he could just perform all of those tasks without any. He didn't visualize any of that, but he still managed to do everything completely fine.
Yeah, I don't have any issues with that at all. And in fact, I was a part of a study maybe last month where I had to do a bunch of these kind of tests. Like they had like a pattern with like certain symbols, and then they'd rotate the pattern, and then they'd rotate it again, and then you'd have to tell the next one, like this kind of thing. Honestly, I'm not rotating or anything in my head. I'm just looking for patterns in the pattern. So like I know that this block is next to this block. So when I look at the next one, is this block next to this block? Okay, that's where it is. Is this one? That's what I look for. So I'm not imagining it or rotating it. I'm just looking for similarities across the board.
Yeah, just completely logically solve it.
Yes, right? Yes, completely logically. So like when we had those ones, like I'm sure like we had logic tests or whatever, and it was like cubes on top of each other, you know, like black and white cubes, and then some were 3D this way. And then you'd have like A, B, C, D. I would just go through the answers. Okay, which one has this black one next to this white one? Okay, it's this one. And that's how I thought everybody was doing these things. When I explained it to my husband, he's like, your way makes a lot more sense. It's probably way easier.
Yeah, I mean, I know that like how I approach, like for example, IQ tests, that's where there's a lot of rotation going on. I saw that like usually I like to just solve them logically without rotating, because it also takes up a bit of mental strain to actually rotate stuff. So I found myself that once they are easy, I can just solve them logically, but as soon as they get harder, I have to visualize, so that it's easier for me to find the logical components of the rotated image.
I think there was a study, I can't remember where I heard this, but they did notice that for people with aphantasia, there was no big difference between whether it was an easy 3D image to rotate or a more difficult 3D image to rotate. So when you had aphantasia, they were all kind of the same. And I assume it's because we're looking for the logical, where these things are similar, instead of actually trying to rotate it, right? Because I think if you were trying to visually, like you said, you have to put more energy into it. So if it's a more complex 3D image, maybe it's more difficult to rotate. But for us, we're still just looking for the pattern. So it doesn't matter how complex the image is. So I think that kind of fits into that idea.
Yeah, that does fit pretty nicely. Well, you're mentioning these studies. Like, how many studies have you been part of, or how does that look like? Do you just get approached by people, and when did you start being approached by them?
Yeah, so I think I've been in about 4 now. I just did one somewhere in the UK. It was about what is it called? When you witness a crime. What is it? I can't think of what I want to say.
Oh, yeah, witness.
Well, yeah, like a witness testimony. So they wanted to do something about how, like, if we can remember what happened during a crime. So I did that one. That was really interesting because they started the study. They said, we're going to use the same terminology the police would use with you if you were like in the room, like talking about this. So you had to, like, one of the first things she asked me was like, what was the weather like on the day when you were watching the video? And I was like, I have no idea. Like, I have no idea. Why would I remember what the weather was like where I was when I watched the video? It blew my mind. I was like, okay, I'm going to suck at this. Yeah.
Did you how does that work? Did you fly to the UK to do that? Or
No. We did it on Skype. So they sent me like a video, like just by email. They sent me a video, and then I had to interview them on Skype 48 hours later. And then they had to see like how well I remembered things. So I probably did really bad because like the first question, I'm like, I don't know. I just don't know. I have no idea. I don't know what the weather was like 2 days ago from now. I don't know. Well, it's summer, so I'm assuming it was sunny. But I have no idea.
Do you get approached by them?
Some of them I find in that on Facebook. They come to the aphantasia Facebook groups.
I see.
Yeah, so I usually, honestly, I volunteer for everything. Anything anybody puts up. I know, like, 2 of these studies, it happened right at the height of when everywhere was shutting down because of COVID. And so they were telling people, it's a stressful time, so if you can't do it, and I'm like, well, I'm not stressed, so I'll still do it. Like, they put all this time and effort into do this. Like, I feel the least I can do is help them out. So yeah, so I usually from the Facebook, and then I've gotten asked for one directly here in Taiwan, but they don't have enough participants yet. So if you have aphantasia and you're in Taiwan, please contact me. Because they want to do an fMRI study, which I really want to do because I haven't gotten to do one yet. Like, all the ones I've been doing are like interviews and questionnaires, but I'd love to do see what's going on in there. So I really want them to find more people. But honestly, the main reason I do it, I feel like figuring out how my brain works could be really beneficial for people who need to block out some things. Yeah. Like, I feel like at this point in my life, like, I mean, I'm like 40 years old, so I think I'm a bit too late to kind of figure out how to visualize. Like, I'm afraid, like, if I learned, I would be overwhelmed and I wouldn't be able to like function anymore because I just sit at home in my brain all day. Like, it seems like it would be too overwhelming for me. But if they can figure out how this works, so if somebody is suffering from something and they need to turn off a memory or turn off something, then they can learn how to do it. And so for me, that's why I volunteer for everything.
Oh, wow. Okay, that does make that's interesting. I mean, I did know that like a strong mind's eye is connected with being more prone to PTSD and stuff.
Yeah.
I haven't thought about this.
I mean, honestly, like, I always knew that. Like, PTSD was bad. I never thought it was like an okay thing to have. But for me, I thought everybody's brain worked like mine. So I thought it was more just this feeling memory, like not so graphic or visual, or like you're reliving it. So to learn that people are like going through these things and then they're actually reliving these things, like, it's just so unbelievably tragic. And I'm honestly surprised. It's one of the things that surprises me most and makes it so hard for me to believe in visualizations, is that if everybody's visualizing and how awful it would be to have PTSD, why are we not like doing more about it? Like, I just feel like this should be like the number one thing we're doing to help people. Because, like, it's suffering inside your mind that you can't get away from. Like, to me, it just sounds so tragic. So, like, if I can do anything that would help, then I will try. Yeah.
That is very nice. I failed to see this connection with aphantasia, that studies from aphantasia could be used like this. But now that I realize that, I mean, wow, that puts
I mean, I hope so.
Urgency.
I mean, I'm not a neuroscientist, so maybe they can't be, but if they could be, it would be amazing.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Like, it is a sensible thing to try.
Yeah.
Yeah, that puts a lot of more importance in studying aphantasia. Wow, okay.
I honestly, I haven't made a decision whether I would want to change my aphantasia if it were possible. Which I'm sure to people sounds crazy, but it's not something I'm sure. If you told me tomorrow you could turn it off, I don't know if I'm ready to do it, just because I think it could possibly be overwhelming. And then what do you do? Like to me, the scariest thing I can imagine is not being in control of myself. And so the idea of seeing images without me wanting them there, it's terrifying. Like, it just sounds like the most terrifying thing. And like, every day you guys are doing this. Every day you're like living my nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, we got used to it, right? But it does make sense to be scared of this.
Right. So like I think if I had it as a child and like I learned to develop it like you guys do, it would be a different situation. But to come to it as an adult, it makes me a bit nervous. So it would be something I'd be interested to see if people are able to gain visualization, but I just don't know yet if it would be something I would be interested in trying to do. I'm just afraid I wouldn't be able to turn it off, you know? Like if I start it and I don't like it and then I can't turn it off.
Yeah, I actually wanted to ask you about like those aphantasia exercises, if you would be ready to, try out and maybe have your audience updated how it works and stuff. But yeah, that is I didn't think of that.
Well, it's funny because I was trying, like one of his videos is about image streaming, I think is. Yeah. So like you focus on something in the room and then you close your eyes and you keep saying like, I see this, and you whatever, like speak it to yourself. And so I was like laying in bed and I'm like, okay, well, let me try. And I closed my eyes and I was like, no, like what if I see a monster and I can't stop seeing it? So I stopped.
I mean, the way you put it, that visualization does start to seem very scary and...
Yeah, I'm sure it seems ridiculous because you guys, live with the visualizations all the time. But to me, it just sounded really scary.
Well, I do feel that. I do feel that what you're saying. Like, I used to have like some experience with panic attacks, and then I did like feel that fear of what if I do get some idea, some image in my head, and I wouldn't be able to get it away, and it's just gonna stay there, stuck there forever. So
I don't know how you guys watch scary movies. How do you watch a scary movie? Like, I really don't understand it. Because I can't watch scary movies already. And in fact, that was one of the first things my husband asked me. He was like, wait a second, you don't see anything? Why are you so afraid of scary movies? Like, they terrify me.
So if I would like ask you to think of a memory or a dream. Yeah, for example, if you just make that breakfast study, like if I ask you like to describe the breakfast table at which you ate your dinner, your breakfast today, like how would you describe it? Can you describe like what was the light today, like when you had the breakfast, like where were the shadows or
can you do that?
I mean, no, not precisely, like, but I can make it to some extent. It would be different if I would ask you to be
like I know it wasn't raining,
attentive to those things.
But like I don't know, like the sun was out, but was it bright sunny or overcast sunny? I have no idea. Yeah. In fact, if you go like this, I won't remember what shirt I have on today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, are there some visual things that you do, let's say that today, like, was there any, could you point to any visual impression in your memory that you did pay attention to
today? Well, I mean,
describe that one.
I mean, I know what I did today. Like, I remember everything in action. So, like, I know today, like, I cleaned my kids' playroom. So, like, I know I put all the toys away, and I know I threw away a lot of stuff, and I organized the bookshelves. Like that.
Okay. Interesting. So if you would be in the breakfast study, like in the 80-80, like what would you tell to the researcher, Francis?
I mean, if somebody asked me like what I had for breakfast, I say, okay, I had a chicken wrap, and I had some logal, and I had a black tea. Like, I don't know, like what would you say?
Well, the question was actually like the question that Galton posed was describe your breakfast table. Describe just describe the table, how the food looks like, the plates, what kind of teacup is it, what color is it?
I mean, the table's like a light brown. It's like that cheap IKEA presswood kind of thing, but I don't know what the legs of the table look like because I've never looked at them. And the plates are white. They might be square. Yeah, I think they're square plates. And the cup is that cheap IKEA cup. Like, I know that. Can I ask you one? Because this is one I've been wondering. So I watched like these movies like what is that one, that Walter Mitty or whatever? Did you see this one?
The Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
Right. And I've seen movies like this before, right? Where the person has kind of this exaggerated imagination. And always in the beginning, when he's in his normal life, it seems very drab and, blah. Is it like that for you guys? Like, does reality feel drab compared to what's in your head?
Okay, let's say sometimes yes. For example, when you're at some boring place like school or church or something,
Okay.
then it feels like the reality is this gray, uninteresting. Just nothing is happening. But then also you have access to your imagination and have some very vivid, there are more interesting things going on in your head. So you go and daydream, and then in your daydreams you can, like I've certainly felt, feel sometimes as if reality is this gray, boring, never changing stuff. But my imagination, in contrast, is this bright beach with lots of colors and everything.
That's so interesting.
When I'm bored, for example, then I do tend to feel like it.
So I wonder if like reality feels brighter to me in comparison to what you see, because I don't have an imagination to compare it to. Well, honestly, I've talked to people about this before. Like, I don't know how you guys leave the house. Like, if I could imagine all this stuff in my head and hear these voices and make up this whole thing, I would create a whole world in my mind, and I don't think I would go anywhere. Like, why go anywhere? You have all this amazing stuff in your head. So I don't know how you guys function. Like, it doesn't make sense to me at all. And then, like, I asked my husband this too. Like, so you wake up in the morning and you, like, talk your way through what you're going to do during the day, and you see yourself doing things during the day, and then you go through your day and you're thinking about other stuff, and come home and do all this, and then you go to sleep and you dream and you see all this other stuff going. When do you stop? Like, when do you rest? Is there a rest?
Yeah, well, that's one reason why people actually meditate, because of that, because their monkey brain, as they call it, monkey brain, is restless, and we just keep thinking about little things all the time, and we're never really present in the moment. So we get stressed, or we're not really mindful of what we're doing. I just find myself sometimes going to the table at which I eat, and then I just end up like, I already ate everything, and I wasn't even aware that I ate everything, because I was just being somewhere completely else in my imagination.
Interesting.
So on autopilot.
So if you don't try to meditate, you don't have a single moment all day where it's nothing.
No, it's only when I do stuff like, I don't know, I work on something, I don't know, I wash the dishes, that's when I'm probably more mindful, or when I play instruments, then that's when I'm in the moment, or when I play video games. But as I'm like walking around, or I don't know, doing something, there's not a lot of silence in my head. Only when I do
so if you're
mindful tasks.
Yeah, like if you're just like walking through the park.
Yeah, I would
you can't just walk through the park. Like, you'd have to have something.
I mean, I can be choose to be mindful of my surroundings, and that's probably, I would start feeling very peaceful and mindful about all the nature that is going on around me. But
it wouldn't be the default. Usually, you would have to work at it. So it's okay.
Yeah, my default is to daydream, and for the last, let's say, 2 years or a couple of years, I've been trying to be more mindful when I go on the walks and be in the present moment, to relax myself and stuff. But yeah, it's a practice that I have to consciously enforce upon myself, because in the default, I'm just gonna daydream. I'm just gonna think about the latest video I saw, the book I'm reading, a conversation that I had a week ago, a conversation that I will have a week from now.
Wow. So it feels like just our defaults are different. Like, my default is just nothing.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. But you said before, when you were talking about the 3D images, you have to really concentrate to do it. So I mean, is it like exhausting like doing these
Yeah, it can be
visualizations
very
all day?
exhausting. Yeah,
Okay.
it can be very exhausting. That's also like, for example, with mathematics, like when there's some visual tasks and I do them for some time, I'm completely drained.
Really?
Yeah, it is quite. I would say, at least for me, it's quite difficult. I rely on visualization a lot, but once I'm trying to be consistent about it, as in with logical tasks, then it's very difficult. Which is just goes to say that my imagination just flows freely, and it's very inconsistent and stuff, right? And I really have to concentrate it to have a consistent image in my head.
Okay, so there's like certain subjects that you're thinking about that take more out of you to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds magical. I really like. I can't. It sounds like something I read in a book. Like it. I don't even. Because people ask me all the time, like, what it is, like, what if I do this? What if I do this? And it's like, for me, nothing changes. Like, in my brain, if I'm thinking about this or thinking about that or worried about that, like, it's always the same. So I don't have like, I have to put more effort, like, for anything.
I mean, that sounds like a constant mindfulness. That's quite the experience. Like, do you feel like you're more at peace than other people and more mindful of the world around you, faster to notice some interesting stuff that is going around you?
I do. Yes, I do think I notice things a lot more than other people, and I pick up on stuff.
So you would say also that you're kind of constantly in the moment, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, I can't do anything else. Honestly, like, goal setting is very difficult for me. I've never been good at that. And like, I never had, like, I always used to describe myself as unambitious. Like I'm a hard worker, but I'm unambitious. Like, I just don't care. Like, I don't have like this dream to do this or this or this. I've never had that. Like, I just don't.
Oh, because you can't constantly visualize yourself in
the future. Yeah, I can't do it. So yeah, like when I went to college, I was like, I don't know what I want to do. Who knows what they want to do? So I just did something that sounded fun. But I had no concept of like what would happen after I graduated, you know? So yeah, I have to live in the moment. I just don't have a choice.
I mean, yeah, the way in which you described like aphantasia, like for like now that sounds so peaceful, like something that a lot of people are trying to achieve in their lives, to just silence.
But I think 2020 is a terrible year for this. Right? I mean, everybody's kind of like, this year sucks. Like, let's do something else.
Okay.
Yeah, honestly, like, everything just feels kind of pleasant for me all the time. Like, I get angry or upset or whatever, just like anybody else, but it's really hard for me to hold on to that. We talked a little bit before, like, I can't re-feel my remembered emotions. So like, if somebody did something to me that really like pissed me off, the next time I see them, I'll remember that they did that, but I'm not still angry at them about it. I just know not to trust them again in the future.
Yeah, because we can constantly relive this.
Right.
Anger, we can constantly go back and he did that, and then relive it and build up this grief inside of us.
Right.
So
yeah, like, I feel like you could make it worse, right? Like, you could make it feel worse than it actually was. Yeah. And I just I can't do that. Like, I could list off people that have done bad things to me in my life, but like it doesn't make me angry when I think about it. I just think like, well, they were kind of jerks, weren't they? There's two sides to it too, though, because like, I can't really remember the super happy stuff either. Do you know? Like, I mean, like, I remember, when my children were born, and I remember I was so happy that I cried. Like, I remember this, but I can't feel it again when I talk about it. Like, I can tell you I was happy, but I'm like, I mean, obviously I'm always happy I have my children, but I don't have this rush when I bring up the memory of like overwhelming joy. Yeah. So it goes both ways, right? I'm missing both sides.
Yeah. Like this might be the key to figuring out how to block certain stuff in people that don't have aphantasia and that keeps haunting them. Sounds like a very peaceful state to be in, actually. Because it can get very turbulent with a vivid mind's eye. It can get very nerve-wracking.
Yeah, it's true.
Scary.
Yeah. Some of the stuff people tell me, like honestly, I think the being able to like bring up pictures of my loved ones, I'm really jealous of that, because that sounds amazing. Like I would love to be able to just see like, you know, my kids' first steps in my head whenever I wanted. Like that would be amazing. Yeah, so that I'm jealous of. And then the other one is the reading, right? Because when you guys read, you see it happening, and I can't do that. So those are the only two things that I'm like, oh man, if I could have that. But all the other stuff sounds kind of terrible. Like on it, like, you know what I mean? Like if you see something terrible outside and then you keep seeing it forever in your head, like you can't get rid of it. Like that sounds tough.
Yeah.
So maybe my life is very like level. Like I don't have the extremes, right? Like I don't get the extreme highs and I don't get the extreme lows. So I'm just kind of like this, maybe all the time. Mellow. I have a mellow life. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that wraps it up pretty nicely, I think.
Yeah.
I hear my family complaining about.
Oh,
me
I'm
not
so
showing
sorry.
No, completely my choice.
Well, it was really nice. It was really nice to talk to you. Yeah.
Yeah, you too. Thank you so much for being here. We should do that again sometimes. I will look into prophantasia probably in the future, and then we can talk about that.
Yeah, because I wanted to do one about that, like with my husband too, because he can do that, and it sounds amazing.
Nice. Okay, so I will stop the recording now. So okay, thank everyone to watching. You should definitely go check out Courtney's channel, Quiet Mind Inside. Really great stuff, and I honestly mean it.